Happy Friday. Um, Today I'm going to talk about busyness, this constant feeling of relentlessness, that hamster wheel of kids cooking, cleaning clients, kids cooking, cleaning clients. And I'm going to talk about how to create a bit more calm and a bit of a lighter feeling in your life. So I've noticed this week that I felt rushing. I've I, I've been like, I have to get to work. I have to get to work. I have to get to work. And I especially noticed this on Monday morning, right? I was like, I got myself up. The boys got themselves ready for school. I waved them off goodbye, and I'm like, right, I have to be at my desk at 9 o'clock. So I have to go, like, I have to get going. I have to get going. And I suddenly realized, hang on a minute, Nikki, you are the boss. Like, there is no one telling you you have to be sat at your desk at 9 o'clock. There is no one actually telling me that. So why am I rushing? Why am I creating all this busyness in my head? Because we think it's always the external things that create our internal emotions. And that is simply not true. It's our brain and our mind that creates our emotions. It's those thoughts, those sentences in your head that create how you feel. And rushing, that feeling of busyness, is an emotion created by a sentence that sounds something like, I have to be there at this time. I have to be at my desk. I have to do this quickly because there's another thing that I have to do. I've got all of these things. There's no time, so I've got to do them all quickly. That type of mindset is what creates the feeling of rushing, of busyness. Now, there are things in our life that we want to be ready at a certain time. So, for example, I want my boys to be at school before they close the gates. I want to show up on time for a client appointment. For you, it might be that your working hours are 10 till 4. You want to be at work at 10 o'clock. But just swapping that shift in dialogue from I have to I want to instantly takes the pressure off. You might want to be at your desk at 9 o'clock, but you actually don't ever have to. There is very little that we have to do in our life. Now, when we look at that, because you might have just heard that and go, come on, Nikki, for fuck's sake, of course I have to be at work at 9 o'clock. I hear you, but you don't. There may be a consequence to you not being at your desk at 9 o'clock. And you might not want that consequence. So then be honest with yourself that you do actually want to be at your desk at 9 o'clock, if this is your case. So it just fascinates me how we all believe that dialogue in our head. We all believe that narrative. And when we believe that narrative, we create an emotion. You get to decide if that emotion and that sentence is helpful to you. And if you enjoy the way you experience your life and you enjoy the rushing and you enjoy the busyness, there is no need to listen to me at all. But if you're not enjoying the busyness and you're not enjoying the rushing, here's what I'd like you to start practicing. Just start to become aware of the thoughts in your mind. just start to listen to them without judgment and without criticism. Just start to hear that dialogue, that voice. And then the second thing is, have a little bit of compassion and understanding where that's coming from. That voice has been conditioned by your upbringing, by your pet, like your how you were parented or looked after as a child. It's been conditioned by social media and our environment and our communities and our religions. So having an understanding of where it's coming from and having a compassion for that, then just kind of eases things a little bit. And then you get to decide. You can't control the conditioning that you've had in the past. But moving forward into your future, you actually get to decide how you want to be, how you want to experience your life. And you can continue experiencing it with a rushing emotion if you want to. I'm not here to say you shouldn't. But I don't want to experience my life as this constant rushing, this constant busyness, especially when I actually sit down and look at it, I have got just the same amount of time as everybody else. So I get to respond to that voice with, yeah, I hear you. My voice is called Sue. It's our primitive brain. I've talked about this before, but when you name that voice and you name that primitive part of your brain, you get to have a conversation. You could be like, yeah, I hear you. You really believe we've got to be at your desk at 9 o'clock, or you really believe that you've got a million things to do and you don't have time to do it. I get it. But when we're in that state, we're not calm. We're not relaxed. When we feel heavy, we don't feel light in our lives. But when you tell yourself, actually, I want to be at my desk at 9 o'clock, or I want to get my boys to school on time, or I know I can handle what I have to do today. Now you're focused on you and you're taking your control back and you're creating the calmness within you. So just like your mind creates the busy kind of rushing, that exact same mind can also create a calm, lighter certainty, really. Because never do I not get my stuff done. So I don't, and I get my stuff done because I'm calm, because I'm relaxed. I don't get my stuff done when I'm stressed and busy and rushing, because that's then when we're in a survival mode, we're just concentrating on living. We're not concentrating on creating. So you get to be deliberate about what you say to yourself. And the first step is being aware of that current narrative, that current dialogue in your head. Like I said, with compassion and fascination, understanding where it's coming from. I've lived most of my working life until now being told these are your working hours. So of course my brain's going to be going, Nikki, we need to be at the desk at 9 o'clock. Nikki, we need to be at the desk at 9 o'clock. Of course, that's where it's going to come from. I can have compassion for that. But because I work for myself now and because I am the boss, I actually get to choose. And I might want to be at my desk at 9 o'clock, but I don't have to be at my desk at 9 o'clock. And just that subtle shift in terminology creates quite a big impact on your emotion and how your body feels. And even if you're at work, like it's the same brain in your head, whether you're at home or whether you're in your office. It's not like you have one head, like one brain private, and then you leave the house and then you swap brains and then you walk into the office. Like it is the same brain. So how you do one thing will be how you do everything. So even if you're at work, you get to listen to the brain and go, oh, isn't that interesting? Look at my brain telling me, oh, it's 10 o'clock now, I have to do this. It's just understanding that you have a choice. You actually have a choice. Whoever your boss is, whether you are your boss or whether you have a boss, you have a choice. So ask yourself, why might I want to do something? And then be honest with yourself. And like this might come with a little bit of a strop, right? If your brain's anything like mine, it goes, it has a real strop. And that's okay too. But Nikki gets to decide how I experience my life, not my primitive brain. And I'd like to offer this to you as well. Busyness, relentlessness, rushing is a mindset. Best news ever, because you can change your mind. You can actually change and reprogram those neurons in your brain. And if you want help with this, this is what I do. I help people create calm amongst their relentless chaos. And we don't change anything external. All we do is learn how to change and control our minds and our emotions, and getting very deliberate about how you want to live your life instead of how you think you have to or how you should. So if you're fed up living the way you've been living, and you want to experience your kids and you want to experience your job and you want to experience your life in a lighter, calmer way, get in touch, because I can 100% help you. If you've enjoyed listening to this, please like it and subscribe to my channel. If you think actually you know someone, you know a friend who's constantly rushing, who's constantly busy, please share this link with them, because it just might help them. Those 3 simple steps, becoming aware of that dialogue, that internal voice. Having an understanding for it and knowing where it's come from. And then 3, redirecting, going, right, okay, actually, this is what I choose. I want to do this, or I'm choosing to do this, is so much more powerful. And it feels like you're in control then. That's how you get control. Have an amazing week, and I'll speak to you again next week. Bye.